Welcome to the Towers Underground podcast with Brandon White,
Brian Ferguson,
and Jerry Sandusky's kids.
Wait.
Retakes! Ha!
All right, we just went over this like 30 seconds ago.
Not on air, so it never happened.
Yeah.
Also true. Sandusky's the one that ignored the child touching.
No, Joe Paterno was.
Fuck.
Joe Paterno was the legendary Penn State coach who turned a blind eye to Jerry Sandusky diddling children in the showers.
Wait. If Paterno was the coach, what was Sandusky?
Like an assistant.
Okay.
I don't know specifically. He was with the organization for forever, so I assume he was a defensive. Or I truthfully can't tell you because it's one of those things where I just try and flush all that knowledge out of my head. It's not useful to me. It makes me feel bad.
Okay.
He was employed by the team in a football manner. Is all that I could tell you at this moment.
All right. Yeah, I don't understand that any better.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 1 of Brian Doesn't Understand Football Side Facts.
Side facts. Also, is it appropriate to call children side bitches? Because I think Jerry Sandusky was married, so he had like a bunch of little side bitches, side puppies, side cubs. There it is, side cubs.
Oh my god!
I mean, only if they're gay, small, and hairy.
Are we talking about your penis?
No, I'm talking about bears.
Hand bears?
No, regular bears.
Okay. Actually, they're lion cubs, not bear cubs.
I'm not sure if it counts.
Well,
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Okay, I got a dog.
yeah. You got a dog. Tell the world about.
His name's Kevin. He's
Yeah.
a good boy.
He is a good boy. I can't confirm that Kevin is in fact a good boy.
We got him from a from a no-kill shelter. They were very, very good to us.
They were, not killing him.
Yeah.
I can confirm.
They did, however,
Kevin
give-
is in fact not kill.
I did find it odd that they kept on talking about how taut and malleable his anus was, though.
Is it pliable? Does he have a pliable asshole? Brian's dog has a pliable asshole.
It's not funny.
I think it's fucking hilarious. Brian really thinks it's funny. Brian's not going to be able to do a podcast this week because he's going to die.
I worked hard on that joke.
Man. Is it wait, so is that a joke or did they really play with his
No,
asshole
that's
a
a
lot?
joke.
Okay.
They were very good to him. That did not happen.
Good.
That's
Are
actually
you going to find out about his asshole like when no one's around?
No, probably not.
Okay.
Episode 1 of Get the Tables before recording.
Yeah, fun fact, our table collapsed on us and everything went to hell right before we went to record. It was utter chaos.
Broken glass everywhere.
Broken Iron Man cup.
King, I think he's dead.
Yeah, we had a MacBook, an iPad, and an iPhone almost fall off the table, and not a only a McDonald's Coca-Cola glass broke,
And the Iron Man cup.
and an Iron Man cup,
MacBook
which was made
and
of
iPad
plastic.
covered in water both survived.
Yeah, so if you want to know why people buy these things and why they cost so much, it's because they don't break when they fall into water.
Yeah.
Status symbols.
Yeah,
Heroes
fixed
live
that for
forever,
you.
but status symbols never die.
yeah.
Unless they're charged. You gotta charge them, so that's fine.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like if they get hit with charges, like Jerry Sandusky and his son.
And the circle continues.
It's funny, I mentioned this to you earlier, that you had just gotten past the point where we stopped making these jokes, and then this shit broke it all over again.
Back into my hole.
So did he also?
into it.
And this was Penn State, correct?
Yeah, Penn State.
The Nittany Lions. I learned recently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're just confirming facts like there's nothing that
Now,
actually...
No. I'm just making sure that I remember things the way that I think that I remember them.
Maybe in this timeline.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I had a conversation about this earlier, and I think it's a topic that's interesting. Is there's a really good chance that Jerry Sandusky's son was one of the people abused by him during his reign of terror of diddling children.
He adopted a lot of small children. and,
Sandusky's
like,
the one
housed
that
them.
did it.
Yeah,
Paterno's the one who turned the blind eye on it.
right. Yeah, that's
Okay.
still true.
He
This
reported
is the
it
third
once in,
time
like-
that we've been over this
Yeah,
today.
but because people who are victims of abuse tend to gravitate towards
doing abuse.
deviant activities related to said abuse.
Right.
So I think it's interesting that if Jerry Sandusky had abused his son, and his son in turn abused children, if this is just that vicious cycle continuing, or if it's a coincidence because the whole nature versus nurture thing.
No, it makes sense. I mean, it's super sad, but it makes sense. If you want to know other bad news that is less sad, there was a KKK Grand Wizard who got shot in the head
I
sometime
thought this
last
one's
week.
title was like Supreme Wizard. Like he was like you have your Big Mac and then you've got like that bigger Big Mac they have now, except for with white supremacists.
I think
Like
his title
Sauron,
was...
right, who was like the White Wizard of the Valinor, and then you got
That's
like
Sauron.
No.
Huh?
Saruman was
Saruman. I
Saruman.
apologize.
the White Wizard. Saruman was the just... I don't know. I
Sauron.
never watched these.
Oh,
he was the
man.
giant eye, probably.
That was the Eye of Sauron.
That's right, but
Yeah.
he was part of, like, that was part of him.
I mean, in a way, but not direct. It's more symbolic.
I've not
It's
watched
a,
these
it's a
movies.
representation of him.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a mystical representation.
Now he's a lich
Yes.
of some sort.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not really like there's so much to digest in that whole like thing that
Yeah, I'm
it's-
not watching them.
You're not going to get a lot of like.
If you want
backstory in
to
terms
digest
of,
a
like-
lot of information, read the books.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like
So much
I've tried to read the Silmarillion.
Silmarillion.
Silmarillion, and it's wordy,
Yeah.
very wordy. So
Well, because it's not a story.
well, yeah, it's an encyclopedia.
It's
essentially.
somebody's notes on
it's-
how to build a
It's
story.
basically a glossary on a universe.
Well, it's like even with all that information that I've thumbed through quite a few times, I'm still like, it's still like away in my head, like oh shit. But yeah, like essentially like somebody up high in the Saruman area got shot in the back of the head. Missouri, right? Is that what I'm?
Yeah, it was in Missouri. When they came up with the KKK shortly after the Civil War, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Late 1800s. They came up with these names with the specific
I thought
purpose.
the KKK originated before the Civil War.
No, it was after the Civil War because it was a response to the ending of slavery.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like 1874 or something.
Yeah,
like
it was
that.
basically as soon as we gave black people like the freedom to not be slaves, white people were like, they're trying to take away our rights.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was a quick response. So yeah, that happened, and they came up with these
150
names
years later.
like
It was actually in 1865.
Thank you.
Right when the war ended.
yeah,
Shit.
like shortly after the closing.
Where was
bell
it founded?
Or whatever.
You know where
wars
the
are.
first like chapter was?
Probably
Tennessee.
Mississippi. Oh, okay.
It was make sure I got.
I was
this
always
right.
told
It was Pulaski,
Pennsylvania, and I
Tennessee.
felt that was way too high.
Yeah,
I thought
it
that was
is
way
way
too
too
far above the Mason-Dixon line. But the
is.
Pennsylvania parts of Pennsylvania, totally believable.
Oh,
Oh,
sure.
absolutely.
So yeah, okay.
So they came up with these names of like Grand Imperial Wizard Dragon thing with the express purpose of sounding intimidating. And I wonder if they could look forward into the future. How would they feel if their titles just reminded people of 40-year-old virgin LARP enthusiasts?
Well, I'm glad you said look forward in the future because given a time machine, I don't think that's the thing that would they be using it for. You know, like fact checking libraries in like the late the late 1900s being
That's
like,
fair.
well, what are wizards like? How is this going to get? They'd definitely be burning some crosses.
I
on
think
some
if they could
people's
see the
yards.
future, they probably would have tried to come up with ways to bulletproof their wizards. That's just my guess.
Wizards can't deflect bullets.
Not in Missouri, they can't.
They can in Harry Potter, though.
That's what. Yeah, I was like, I've seen some crazy wizardry across my fiction.
Yeah.
And I mean, that shit might as well be fiction as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It just made me realize how funny it would have been if, since Hermione was raised by Muggles, if she had, practiced magic without really having a grasp of what was going on and just did some wild shit like killed Harry Potter
No,
in the first book.
no, because she was strictly for the rules, so she wouldn't have done anything that would have like possibly.
Oh, no,
Well,
I mean, it's
are
definitely
you-
like an alternate timeline type
Okay,
thing.
no, I
okay.
thought you were postulating that.
This is the one where I'm also there and she has sex with me.
No, because she was only like 10 years old then, and I don't know how that's looked at in England, but from what I've
Well, I mean,
understood
obviously
in
you
recent
would-
history, they're probably okay with it.
Obviously, in this timeline, you would also be 10 years old.
Well, actually, I think that she's the same age as us, so probably,
Yeah. Roughly.
roughly. So it would
Wait,
work
what?
out. Emma Watson.
Yeah.
Oh, so now we're just breaking the fourth wall entirely, it seems.
Yeah,
We were already
stupid.
breaking the fourth wall by describing an alternate timeline while not being in that timeline.
Right.
But I thought you were postulating that because growing up as a Muggle, she wouldn't have understood magic or the fact that she had magical tendencies. So she could have done magic and not understood the same way Harry had magic in coming of age.
Yeah,
and
like she could have just kind of
did
did a spell on accident and fucked things up.
Oh, like a big
Straight
spell?
to Azkaban, but she's a child. Straight to Azkaban.
All right, so I don't
Kiss the child.
I don't know. I've read 4 of the Harry Potter books.
Out of order. 1, 7, 5, and 4.
The
Very
Tarantino,
confusing.
the Tarantino interpretation.
That's actually how I take it.
The
all
Terra
of my
interpretation.
culture.
And I read them back to front.
I watched the movies. I've now, I think, seen all of the movies.
Unsure.
But I also am not. There's 8 of them. 9 of them now.
8.
No, there's 9.
Oh, are you counting magical beasts and where to...
It says...
awkwardness?
Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah.
And where to find them.
Yeah.
Asperger's syndrome and how to get it.
Yeah. But I
Awkward
still am not...
protagonists and... Okay.
He's
sorry.
going to keep doing this.
No, I'm good. I'm done.
No. I'm just glad that you have a joke that doesn't involve your hands.
This is true.
Hand bears.
That's my joke. Fuck you. I don't understand how wizards work. Is it like a midichlorians kind of thing where like they're innately born
Oh,
with
man,
it?
you just triggered the shit out of Thackeray.
I had to stop myself from, flipping the fucking table. That was gross. You guys
Yeah.
are awful.
No,
They never actually explained
They
it, I
never
don't think.
really explained that. It's just one of those things that, some people are born with it, and so it's obviously genetic.
Right, but they touch on it in the...
They think it's genetic.
They touch on it briefly in the most recent movie, in the idea that there are people who are born into magic but don't have any magical abilities.
Well, that's
There's
always
people,
been in the squibs.
Squibs, yeah.
Yeah,
that's what they're
that's
called.
the word. Thank you. I was trying to remember what it
Yeah.
was.
Filch. Filch is the most famous one, I think.
Filch was a cock, and his cat died.
Aw,
Mrs. Norris?
that got sad.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
I don't think anybody actually knows.
okay.
Yeah.
I really just wanted to.
Yeah,
fit in
it's
that
one of those things. Like
midichlorians
I kind of want to tweet at
Fucking
J.K.
ass.
Rowling now, because she does respond to tweets.
Like,
regularly.
how does this, work?
Like,
Well, they-
yeah, what's the explanation for
Well,
how?
the whole reason I think why there's a pure mage or a clean mage, obviously to parallel the stories to parallel thematic elements in our real world, but also if they don't understand how it's working, you would think that keeping the bloodlines quote unquote pure with full magic would ensure your magic is
And that's why I do
drawn through your.
I do
your
think it is
ancestry.
genetics.
Yeah, but
is
if
But that's obviously
the theory of evolution means anything, then that little amount of biodiversity would kind of fuck everything.
no, I mean it's England. They're used to that shit.
Yeah, and it fucks everything.
Right, but I mean, just from a genetic point of view, if you breed out of that, and if it is a genetic thing, that it would weaken it and weaken it. So keeping it within magical families would be the only way to ensure that it's never lost.
Right.
And kind of drives home that pseudo-Nazi parallel that they do with Voldemort, and basically erasing all Muggles. And
Well, they don't understand. They obviously don't understand the high end level of genetic.
How genetics work.
Yeah, essentially, because you have Muggles that are from non-magical parents that might have had magic in their ancestry, but it's unsure. But you essentially have kids that are being born to parents,
Muggle-borns.
essentially. So that it's either
It's gotta be a genetic defect.
It's either like I said, genetics or evolution, or
So
the
they're
same way.
X-Men?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say mutants.
It's a
Essentially,
mutant kind of
you're.
thing.
I would think it's
Okay.
some sort of mutation.
That's what makes the most sense, because people can be born with magic who aren't from magical parents, which would suggest a defect, and then by
Vice versa.
by breeding people
It's
who
some
have
kind of a
magic, you
recessive
make
gene.
and you make that recessive gene more prominent and dominant by doing it that way, and then because it is recessive, you can have children from magical blood who can't use magic at all because they're defective in that defect. So I guess they're effective. I don't know.
In the large scale of it, yes, their genetics are the dominant gene is being shown.
It's just
but
selective breeding is all.
Yeah, that makes
eugenics. It always
Who was it?
rotates to eugenics.
CBR, Comic Book Resources, put out an article that made me want to jump through my screen and choke somebody to death this past week.
Why Ben Affleck isn't the best Batman?
No, I don't.
Why Ben Affleck is the best Batman?
Yeah,
No.
no.
Why Val Kilmer is the best Batman.
Michael Keaton is going to find you in your sleep and kill you.
I hope not. That
The answer
would be
is the
my
chin.
wet dream.
It's the chin that makes the Batman, not the other way around.
It's definitely it's important to have a prominent chin and not so prominent nipples.
Right. They're so pointy.
Well, I mean, the Batcave probably is cold.
Yeah.
Behind all that armor.
I mean, it would cost a lot of money to heat that. But on the bright side, he does have a lot of money.
You'd think, there'd be at least some kind of geothermal heating system built into it.
Like a hot spring.
Yeah, something. I mean, right? No? I don't know.
I don't know where Gotham lies on the tectonic plates, so I don't think that we are...
Yeah, didn't we go about speculating a couple episodes ago where exactly it would be, and it's not really determinable where.
Well, no,
did.
it is in the actual canon universe. It is basically in, like, the Philadelphia area.
I don't think that there's
On a
any
map.
hot springs there. Are there? I don't know.
There's no...
Hot Spring,
We're all fucking idiots here. Let's move on.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know about anything.
We
else.
went on and on about the genetics of wizards in the Harry Potter universe, but we
Well, that's
just
an
are
interesting
not,
topic, I think.
We're not
I'm just
experts on the tectonic plate system in the DC universe. So.
Yeah, but I don't even have a casual interest in tectonic plates, though.
Oh, it's super interesting, though.
What I do find it interesting is that if you were to like cross between Marvel and DC, he's not even like the top 10 richest person. Like, and he's a fairly rich person in his own universe,
Yeah.
but like you put him over there, and he's a fucking chump.
It's kind of like 1% of people in the Marvel universe are heroes. The money just kind of comes with the territory.
Well,
I feel
that's
like.
why when you look at his suit, it's a or it's either cloth armor or some kind of like rubber or like Kevlar mix, as opposed to being a metal flying suit. That can do everything.
It's funny because it's a gold titanium alloy for the Iron Man suit. And last year, I remember reading an article about scientists coming up with a gold titanium alloy that was super durable and really good with conductivity and whatnot. And I just thought that was really interesting because they had used that specific alloy for Iron Man's armor for a long time. And then scientists just happened to be like, what if we take gold and titanium and put it together? Would that be a super alloy? And it turns out it was.
And they were all like, Stanley was right!
Right?
Stan Lee's like, whoop. All right, another one for me.
Yeah.
On his big chalkboard that apparently he writes shit on.
Probably didn't finish high school, but somehow landed that one.
That's one of those weird things of life imitating art that,
Yeah.
like, you can never predict. The laws of thermodynamics and everything are what they are. Like, we can't alter that. And he just said, "This is going to be the thing this suit's made of." And then somebody somewhere was just like, "I'm going to put these metals together," and it worked.
See
and
what the
it's-
hell happens.
Yeah, I just think that's really funny.
No, yeah, it's really cool. It's an odd coincidence.
Yeah,
it
for
is.
sure.
Anyway.
Stan Lee has a time machine.
No, because otherwise he would have found some way to avoid the 90s.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
What happened in the 90s?
Yeah, give me an
Marvel
overview.
Oh.
The whole 90s.
Well,
I heard this Kurt Cobain guy died.
yeah. In the Marvel universe, anyway, that was kind of the low point, or that was the bubble bursting on comic books in the biggest way. Not in the sense where it did when they introduced the Comics Code, where people were complaining about there being too much violence and sex in comics. That did almost ruin comics for a little while. You had really, really weird rules, and that's kind of where Batman and Robin got their kind of gay vibe. Yeah. But the 90s were not the best creatively or monetarily for comics. People stopped buying in a very, very real way. Comic book shops were hemorrhaging money, and a lot of them closed. I mean, that's why you find legacy comic book shops now, and they're kind of alone, because they used to be like 6 comic shops in any given area, and now they're down to like the one that made it.
Yeah.
But this is actually an interesting topic because this is essentially the reason why we have this big chaotic split in Marvel Cinematic Universe. Why Sony has the rights and
Do they
Universal
need to
had
sell
the
off
rights.
the rights for money?
Exactly.
That started like at the very, very tail end of the 90s going into the 2000s.
And they were
Right.
just like, "Hey, we need to make back something. So if we sell the rights to our characters, we're not going to do anything with them. So that's essentially free money."
Exactly.
Like
So,
we're-
I mean, they had already sold rights to some movies or over time, and they had never really tried to do anything film-wise just because the technology wasn't there to be able to do it. Fox had been playing around with Fantastic Four for the sake of just holding or retaining the rights forever, going back to
91?
like 91 or
I think it was
92
91.
with a Roger Corman movie that was literally made to never be released just so they could retain the rights to that. That's where you end up with Universal having the rights to the Hulk, where they still have partial rights to the Hulk, or to the point where two things that are really interesting. It's one, the reason why you can't get a Hulk movie made standalone, but he can exist
within the team ups.
within team ups, exactly. But more importantly to me, just because I'm kind of a theme park junkie, it's the reason why we cannot get a Guardians of the Galaxy ride in Florida. Because Universal owns the exclusive theme park rights for Marvel Comics. Which I'm really, really happy about, because if they were to put the Guardians of the Galaxy ride in Universal Studios or Islands of Adventure, it would be replacing, if it were to go into Disney Hollywood Studios, it would replace the Tower of Terror, which in my opinion is one of the best rides of all time.
Never done it.
It's great.
It's like a drop thing, right? Like you get on it and you go up and it's, "Wah!"
Yeah, I mean, the core of it is that
Fucking hate those things.
it's a drop, but the reality of it is that they put a lot of work into it to make it the whole experience, from getting into the line to going out of the ride, to be a Twilight Zone episode, which is
Oh, okay. So
super
it's not
cool.
just the ride; like it's an actual experience. And you're
Yeah,
going
Disney does
through-
a great job at the whole experience building.
That's I don't know. You guys have never been to Disneyland, right?
Yeah,
I've
You
never
have?
even been to California.
probably not in like 20 years.
Oh, okay. So nothing recent or anything like that, but it reminds me of a lot of the rides that they have, like Haunted Mansion. Obviously,
yeah.
Is one of the ones that you're
Well,
really
Haunted
getting
Mansion
into,
has
where-
that, or is very much the same way in Florida. I mean, they do keep a lot of the same overlapping things. There's
Indiana
only a couple
Jones
things.
is the one that I immediately thought of. Is that it's really good at like building, like you're going down in this
I never got to
tunnel
go
and
on that
stuff.
one.
Though it's fucking awesome
Because
I
it's
really
a
love
different
that
ride, like each time. Like there's a handful of different experiences.
Sometimes
that
they
you
do
can
a
go
little,
into.
little bit of different stuff. Yeah, it's really cool. That's one of my favorite rides there.
See, hearing
never
about
got to
like
go.
Disneyland and Disney World and Universal Studios and stuff just makes you realize how fucking awful Six Flags is.
Star Tours is another one that they've changed. I haven't got to do it since it's changed, but that's another experience building one where like you're going in and you get to see like C-3PO and R2-D2 and you get on the ride, and as you're leaving, you're actually go in. I don't really love Disneyland.
I went, or
I haven't been in forever, but I would really love to go.
I did Star Tours last time that I went to Florida. It was the year that they had like finished Star Tours.
Oh, like the redo or the? I
Yeah,
don't want
like-
to say the redo, but the
No, it is kind of a redo. I mean, it's the same ride essentially, but they kind of updated the technology a lot more, and then they kind of incorporated the newer stories
Yeah.
into it a lot better, and it's fantastic. It's just great.
over here gushing about Disneyland.
I fucking love theme parks so much.
I don't know. Yeah, for sure.
I'm still excited for
But yeah, Six
Nintendo
Flags
Land
can-
coming to
Yeah,
Florida.
Nintendo
that's going to be
Nintendo
really, really
Land is
exciting.
coming to Florida.
Do they have a date for that?
No, they don't have a date. Well, they may have a rough date, but
A
I don't think
soft.
they have like they have a soft date. They don't have a hard date.
Soft.
But Nintendo Land's gonna, and I also still really want to go to Harry Potter World.
Yeah, I was going to say I've never been to Harry Potter World, and I'm not like the biggest fan. I've read all the books except for 7, but I still think it'd be objectively pretty cool just because of the amount of work.
I've
that's
talked to
obviously
kind of
been put
casual
in.
fans, and they all say that it's fantastic.
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool.
I'm waiting for Nintendo Land to open, and then I think I'm going to hit Disney for like 3 days, and then Harry Potter World for a day, and Nintendo Land for a day.
I think you'd need. I don't know how much, but they have both
7 days. If you want to do it all, it takes 7 days.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't know how long you'd want to spend, but I know they have Diagon Alley, and then they actually have Hogsmeade. You can
Yeah.
ride the
Yeah.
train between, so I don't know how much time you'd want to spend and how much time it would actually take. Disney World or Disney World.
Four
Disney
days.
World.
Because you got the 4 areas. You have Epcot, the Magic Kingdom,
Animal Kingdom.
Animal Kingdom.
Is that what it's called? Animal Kingdom. I'm sorry. And then you have Typhoon Lagoon, which is a beach thingy. Like
So there's
other stuff too. I can't really.
So Disney World is, I think, a total of 6 parks. There's 4 main parks, and then there's 2 water parks. There is
That's
Magic
one of them,
Kingdom,
yeah.
Disney Hollywood studio, or whatever the fuck they changed the name to. It used to be MGM, but MGM is no longer a part of it. There's Epcot.
You're not affiliated with me.
Yeah.
Points finger.
There is Animal Kingdom, which is about to expand to include the world of Avatar, which could be cool just because Avatar was visually appealing if the story wasn't boring.
But
as
how are
fuck.
they going to get the animals here?
Exactly.
That's my concern.
They got all the unobtainium.
Yes. Jesus.
They put them on
Christ.
magical cattle cars through the
They
through
have the
space.
worst script doctor ever.
Yeah.
Who left in that fucking filler word?
Unobtainium. They're like, that sounds. Nobody's going to question that.
They're
There's
like-
blue people.
They're like, this is like one step away from MacGuffin. Could we have called it MacGuffin?
I like how everybody wants to fuck blue people after that, but we're more upset by the unobtainium. Like, all three of us are.
I am.
It's a professional term to mean a thing that you can't get.
A MacGuffin? Or unobtainium.
Unobtainium.
Because the MacGuffin is
It's
also
an
a
alloy.
thing that you won't obtain.
Yes. The whole point, or the whole, the element that Tony Stark has to forge in Iron Man 2 was
Unobtainium.
jokingly referred to as unobtainium as a throwaway line in the movie.
It's because what it is, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Triangle unobtainium.
I think in Disney World, realistically, for me personally at least, Magical Kingdom, Epcot, and Animal Kingdom
And then
Or
there's
like
Typhoon Lagoon and Blue and
are the only
Blizzard
three.
Beach.
yeah, which are the two.
And
there's-
actually, I would be most excited about Epcot.
I got talked into going to formerly MGM Studios by my brother last time that I went, and I kind of regret it.
What is that? Or what is there? What are the attractions that I would?
So Disney Hollywood Studios has really three things that are really worth going to, and then kind of an empty park. And that is the Aerosmith Rock and Roller Coaster, because even though it does pump Aerosmith directly into your head, it is still a very good roller coaster.
Does it have weird pictures of Liv Tyler?
How many nickels does Aerosmith get every time a person rides it?
I don't know.
About PlayStation Vita's worth.
They gotta get something. So the interesting thing about this is that it's a regular, like, a seat for the roller coaster, and then on the headrest are speakers that are constantly playing Aerosmith songs.
I don't know how I feel about
And
that.
the whole kind of shtick of it is that you are in a limousine trying to get to the Aerosmith concert. You're one death shy of being Kiss's Rock and Roll All Night.
This sounds like the plot to that awful Metallica movie that came out a few years ago.
Yeah. It's dumb.
Yeah.
But it's a good roller coaster at the end of the day.
Sounds like a lot of sensory overload with the
It
music.
kind of is.
That would probably cause me a lot of anxiety.
Sometimes
It-
roller coasters
yeah.
give me headaches, because of
Okay,
the
that-
like.
Well, it's a
neck
good thing
thing, so,
Steven
like,
Tyler's voice is very soothing.
The other thing, or the other ride worth going on there is, as I mentioned before, the Tower of Terror. Which,
that's there? Okay.
Yes. Tower of Terror is there, and it used to be at Disneyland, but the one in Disneyland has been replaced with the Guardians of the Galaxy something. I don't know what it's
I
called.
think it was in
but
the
it's still a
California
con.
Adventure part of the Disneyland.
Wherever they have,
It wasn't in the actual Magical Kingdom.
wherever they kept their Tower of Terror is
Yeah.
where it is now. And then the other thing is the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, which everybody may remember from an episode of Full House where the oldest daughter, her boyfriend ends up in the Stunt Spectacular, and then they get engaged or something.
Yeah, I don't remember. I didn't watch Full House as a kid.
Okay.
I just don't care.
That's fair. By the way, the show, and I've been going to Disney World since I was a little kid. I mean, it's kind of like a birthright whenever you're in Florida. I've been to the show every time that I've ever been into that park. It has never changed. It is
Okay.
the exact same show every single time you go in there. You get to watch the exact same scene of Indiana Jones, and it's fantastic every time. I love it for some reason.
Cool.
That sounds intriguing.
Because basically what it is you're sitting on a film set and they're going through how a movie is filmed. like how the stunts are done, how the direction is done, that kind of thing. So, and it's cool. It is, if you have like an interest in film and cinematography.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't even I don't know. As somebody who has only gone to Disneyland,
Yeah.
the only attraction to me would be the Disneyland portion that has been World came. Shit, I don't know which one came first.
Disneyland came first.
Yeah. So the Disneyland portion that's been transported to World would be the only thing that I would.
Yeah, there's
want
only a
is because-
handful of rides that kind of are the same in each, or at least exist in both. There's Space Mountain, there's Big Thunder Mountain, there's Splash Mountain.
I think they have the Haunted Mansion there.
They have the Haunted Mansion in both. They have
Is the Pirates of the Caribbean in there?
Pirates of the Caribbean in
Yeah.
both.
The classic rides.
Exactly.
essentially.
Yeah.
That's the only. If I went to Disney World, that's the where I would go, just because there's the Disneyland nostalgia there. Epcot would be cool, I guess, but I really don't know what's there. I just know there's food, and I would see myself spending like $1,000 on food. And I would
Epcot
hate
is
myself.
kind of like an educational park where they have.
It's got a big
ha-
ball. It looks like a Death Star.
Yeah.
That's really the attraction for me.
They just changed that recently, as far as I've been told.
Death
where-
Star? A Death Star?
Well, it's a ride, and basically it's a ride going through the history of telecommunication or of communication throughout human civilization. And they just updated it recently because we have the internet and so many rapid means of telecoms and things like that just didn't exist 10, 15, 20 years ago.
That's pretty cool.
Epcot's so intriguing. Like, that's the number. Like, ever since I've decided I'm going to Disney someday, like, that's the one park I'm most excited about.
I love Epcot just because I'm a great big nerd. I don't know if you know this about me in real life.
You'll say.
Yeah, I was shocked to find out
Huh.
too. So like it's half science-based education stuff,
Yeah.
and then it's half more cultural education stuff, where you have like the it's like the Lake of Nations. It's like a man-made lake, and then you walk around it and you go into different countries, and they have different foods.
That's
and-
the part that I know about the going and the stuff.
Right,
and
so like during October they have the Food and Wine Festival where you get to get smashed at Disney World.
Sounds like a fucking blast.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm for it.
We're trying to do that next year if we can. We're talking about if we want to just because we wanted to do a Universal trip, but we also wanted to do a Disney trip, and I'm kind of feeling nostalgia for going to Disney because I haven't like done it big in a long time, and it's one of my favorite things to do. She's never done it at all.
Oh man, that's got to be magical.
She's only been to more. I talked to a lot of people who have had like really, really shitty experiences at Disney, and so does she.
Really?
But she doesn't understand it all because the only time that she ever went to Disney World, she got engaged. So it kind of is like this big special thing to both of us.
Turns out that Brian is, in
Cheesy.
fact,
I'm
a
cheesy.
nerd.
Yeah,
And cheesy as fuck.
yeah, yeah.
Is getting engaged at Disneyland not a cool thing?
It's not the coolest of things, but they do make a really big deal out of it. And if you want to have kind of an awkward night afterwards, that'll do it. Because,
What do you mean?
well, here's the thing: is that the only way to get out of Disney World is a ferry, like a boat.
Oh, because like I said, I've never been to. I've
Right.
only been to land, so you just walk out. Like it's you just walk out, and there's the hotels and all this stuff down Main Street, and you just go down that way, and you go to
Right,
your
right.
hotel or wherever you may be staying.
So they say that Disney World and all these theme parks are in Orlando, and that's partly true, but it's also not completely true. And it's not completely true in the sense that Disney World in and of itself is massive. It's larger than San Francisco.
It seems like a whole complex. Like you mean,
It
you've got
is.
massive areas to it as well.
First off, it's mostly empty because they bought up a lot of land and they just leave it as nature reserves. Because the interesting thing about Orlando is that it's a fucking swamp.
Yeah.
Nothing's supposed to be there. Nothing other than like ancient monsters were ever supposed to live there. But then a bunch of white people decided they were going to bulldoze the land and then build theme parks on top of it.
Wyverns of the Golden Age.
So Walt Disney kind of decided to keep a lot of it empty, and it's either because he kind of had the hindsight to keep it as a nature reserve, or he just died before he could figure out what to do with the rest of the land.
I'll take two.
There's also huge underground complexes underneath all of the theme parks. These are
Bring
not
that up
jokes.
because if I ever got hammered at Disney, I'd probably end up trying to find. that
Oh,
and
like
explore
searching
it.
for the lost treasure of Walt Disney or something.
Well, there is the one park area that's just like abandoned, that I know of. But there's
They're
also
supposed to
the
be adding
underground city too.
supposed to be adding a Star Wars portion on it, from my understanding.
So the coolest thing about going to Disney the last time for me is that I could see cranes, like construction cranes. And the reason why this is interesting is because I've been going to Disney World since I was like not even born. I'm pretty sure that my mother was pregnant.
You were
and
just like hanging out in your dad's ball sack.
yeah, just fucking chilling in Disney World.
I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, and that's how it happened.
Swim, Brian, swim.
So Disney does a really good job at keeping the mystique of Disney World. So there really are these big underground tunnel systems beneath the parks, and a lot of it has to do with getting the employees in and out and
'cause
around
there's
without being seen.
There's no operations and I haven't been to Disneyland in a while, but I don't remember seeing like there's the employees that are out there, but they just disappear. They're there. It's kind of like
You don't see people on bricks.
yes, yeah, they're always working or they're not there.
Exactly.
So
Wasn't that a Beverly Hills Cop plot line?
It might have been.
I remember that when he was at the theme park. Axel Foley, that is. Axel Foley is amazing.
The great Axel Foley.
Great Axel Foley, and he was going through these underground tunnels and stuff, and like you had the park workers, but you didn't really see any operational stuff in the park.
Right.
I never would have given that any thought, but I just realized that was probably an allusion to Disney.
Yeah. So seeing cranes working on the castle was really, really cool to me because it's something that you don't
ever get to see.
You never really get to see, and
Yeah.
they usually do it on purpose, but the problem is when they're doing such big construction, you can only hide it so much. The downside is that I couldn't ride Splash Mountain, which is one of my favorite things, and it's even more of one of my favorite things as I've gotten older because of how really, 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 really racist it is.
I love it.
I assumed that was going to be a booby thing.
A
No,
rabbit man.
you were thinking that they were going to be tits. No, it's just that it's based off the movie Song of the South, which is
The movie that Disney swept under the
Wait,
rug.
do you not? You don't. You've never been, so you don't. Okay, he said Splash Mountain. I'm immediately like, yeah, man, like Brer Rabbit, man, like fuck yeah. But yeah, no, that's weird. That just
it's one of the things that when you're a kid you don't really think about because you're young and naive and you don't really understand what racism is. But as you get older, and you hear about the stories of like the old movies that that Disney used to make.
Yeah, the last time I went, I think it was like 11 or 12. I was like, okay,
yeah,
this is starting to click a little bit for me.
It's amazing that in today's PC culture that still
okay
prevails.
It's such a nostalgia thing. I don't think
it is, and I mean it's
people have been going since, or a lot of people.
I guess it might be subtle enough now, but if I recall the ride correctly, I think there might be a lynching.
Yeah.
Why don't they just replace all the black people with white people?
The rabbit's upside down, but there is a lynching.
Yeah.
Like, there's not like, he's not like getting hung by the neck, but he's definitely getting hung.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's pretty fucked up.
Yeah. It's pretty bad.
My favorite ride's the Pirates one.
That's
especially since they updated it.
See,
with
I
Sparrow
didn't like it as much when they updated it.
No, I just like seeing Sparrow a couple times, but I think like the old people or the old stuff.
Now, had you gone before they updated it and
I've
then
done
after?
Both.
Okay,
yeah, I've done both.
Okay, I asked that question just because there are people who like don't go until afterwards.
Are you a big fan of the movies?
I like the first one.
Okay, so most people.
First one's good.
It wasn't until after the first movie that I got sick of Johnny Depp as well.
Second one was even.
2 and 3 I think are pretty good just from like the story of what they're trying to tell, but it gets a little bit like
we're getting super convoluted,
yeah,
and especially when it came to like the let's bring in what's his name,
Keith
Richards. I was like, this is a little bit too on the nose.
Yeah. It's funny because there's many people that you could have been talking about, but in my heart, I knew that's exactly what you had.
We were explaining the ferry. We got sidetracked.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So there's only a couple more, depending on where.
Well, no, because I've never really given much thought in terms of like popping the question, but I always thought like in the back of my head, like maybe Disneyland. That's a cool thing. That means a lot to me. Maybe that'll mean something to somebody who in the future I might want to marry. I don't know, but
if they say yes.
So
that's what I'm like. That's the whole thing. You got to be.
It's one of those questions that you kind of want to know the answer to before you go into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless if you want to be that guy. But here's the thing about Disneyland is a cut and dry theme park. It's very much what it is. There's one park, you go into the entrance, you go out of the exit.
Correct.
Disney World is a different beast entirely, because it is very much its own city unto itself. And the interesting thing about that is that depending on what park you go into and where you're staying, depends how you can get out of it.
Right.
There's more, if you're going into certain hotels or certain areas, you can take the monorail and leave. But for me, I had just parked at City Walker or
Parking lot.
a parking or like the
car park.
the nearest place that I could get to the parks for free without having to pay for parking.
Ooh. All right.
Which there's like shops that Disney has, and you just take the bus from there, and then they bring you to it because they have public transportation going 20 or for as long as the parks are open.
Yeah.
So as long as you can get to a place, then you can get back to that place without having to pay anything additional. So in order to get out of Disney World, for the most part, pretty much every way out, unless if you're going from one park to a different park, is there's a ferry boat. And the thing is that if you propose to somebody on Main Street in front of Cinderella Castle during the fireworks display, people see it because those people are also leaving the park.
Right.
And then those people are also on the ferry boat with you.
Right.
And then they just see you. And then they remember, that's the jackass who proposed on Main Street in front of Cinderella Castle in front of everybody during park closing. So you just get like a handful of people who are like, hey, congratulations. And you're like, thank you, kind stranger. And if you're like fine with strangers talking to you on a ferry boat, then it's great. It's very, very fun. If you are kind of anxious and uncomfortable around things in general, it's less fun. But also still kind of fun because it makes for a story.
I don't think I'd be
3 years
an issue
afterwards.
with that, but
It's not bad.
it would depend on the person, obviously. And I don't think I don't know.
Certainly.
That's just one of those stressful things. Like because you mentioned that guy, because there are some people that will go into a situation such as that without knowing if they're going to say yes. They just assume like I'm going to propose, and
Right.
this is a situation where she can't possibly say no.
Right.
So this is going to go just swimmingly.
Yeah, like there's part of you that kind of is waiting for like the sitcom turn of like, what are you doing? Which my situation almost went that way. My wife thought that I was tying my shoe and was wondering why I was tying my shoe as we were trying to get our picture taken and leave so that I can get her food and coffee and go to bed.
Jeez.
I like how you were getting coffee, which means you were going to bed, but you weren't going to sleep.
We were staying with my sister, so we were going to sleep.
Taking some of that Kentucky magic with you. I
So
see.
this is your story. I
No,
imagine.
this is exactly my
Okay.
story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I didn't want to like.
Disney makes it really, or I will
So
say...
did you have something like? Did you tell somebody, or did you call ahead, or like, hey, like, or did you just literally like, I'm gonna do this, and we're gonna see how the fuck this goes?
I went up to my...
Apologies. My fault. I think that one's me.
It
was
was.
you.
It's Brandon's fucking ringer thing on his phone that he let me borrow.
I went up
He's a
to...
terrible goddamn person.
I went up
welcome.
to the person who does
you.
the
I love
pictures
you.
because nowadays you can either use their camera and pay for the pictures, or you can like give them your phone or your camera and they can take the pictures for you.
That's interesting.
Yes. So I went to give the person my phone and kind of make sure that all the settings were right and blah blah blah. But what I was really doing was I was letting this person know that I was about to propose to my girlfriend, and is she okay with this? Because you know
You don't want to have somebody stuck in that situation when they don't.
I don't
wanna
want somebody to also be freaking out while my future wife is freaking out.
be. Right. Right.
Especially if that person's like holding.
Yeah,
the
you want them to
camera device.
secure
You don't
your
want them to,
secure your memory
like
at
shaky
that point.
cam or anything.
Yeah. And a lot more, like a surprisingly large amount of employees get involved at that point. Not like
Like, do they like
as it's happening.
this person trying to propose or some shit like that, or like they?
So like there's managers and like supervisor people kind of walking around the park, making sure that all the guests are having a good time, blah blah, and making sure that everything's going swimming.
I like this story. I like
They
how this is
come
going.
they come up to you after this happened. Well, they came up to me after this happened.
Yeah.
I don't know about you specifically. With
Not
your
done it yet,
long
but we'll
hair.
see.
They came up to me and were like, "We're really glad that you wanted Disney to be part of this, part of your story, and we want to make it special for you." And they like set you up with shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Disney's all about magic moments.
Yeah, and this is, and they
that's
very
the,
much
that's the point of this whole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're very much bought into the idea of magical moments being made in their parks. And they do a great job at that. I mean, there are definitely some shitty things that the Disney family has done in the past, and there's definitely some shitty things that have happened with, like, there was a weird moment, or like a weird period in the 90s where they were making terrible sequels to movies that did not need sequels, but when it comes to, like, the
Aladdin 3.
Exactly.
Straight to VHS.
Oh, God.
But when it comes to, like, the actual in-park experience, they really do take pride in what they do and the people that are working there. And I do have friends who have worked there. They do a great job at, like, making it a big
I've read that the vetting process to play a character is
It's deep.
excruciatingly
It's super deep.
like, and you can't tell anybody that like it's happening, and like you can't really tell anybody that you're that character. Like you gotta like keep it.
You
under
can
wraps,
say
like-
that you are a cast member at Disney, which
Yes.
is that's what they're referred to as their cast members.
but you can't tell them like that you're
You can't be
Cinderella,
like,
for
"I'm
example.
Goofy."
Yeah, So it's the whole thing's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
This is sort of an aside that I don't know if you would know, either of you would know, but you would be more familiar, I would assume. Has there ever been any Disney crossover from, like, Kingdom Hearts, like in terms of Disney World or Disneyland?
Not that I've seen.
No,
What
when
were
it
you talking
comes-
about, like for Final Fantasy?
Well,
That's
no,
what
I'm just
you're
saying,
asking?
like characters like Sora or Riku or anyone
Nothing
like that.
that I've seen in park, but granted, like I said, I haven't gone since I was 11 or 12, and it's been about that time since the games came out. So
There is
wouldn't
Disney
know.
in Japan, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yes,
there is a
So they
Disney
probably
park.
have it there. That would be.
Japan.
I think there's one in Tokyo.
They do
one in
have.
France
I want
as
to say
well,
that they have
Paris.
stuff for it, and they may not have for the past few years, just because Kingdom Hearts is one of those franchises that does a really good job at just like going missing for a long span of time.
AFK, man.
But I would fully expect. I think that it's coming back, or it's being re-released in the next couple months, if not sooner than that. That you might start seeing more of that stuff in the near future.
I would imagine they'd have some sort of swag there, like
Yeah.
plushes or something.
Well,
but, like,
I
I
also
don't
thought
think
it
it's
would be interesting if they had characters, which again, like obviously Disney Tokyo would probably have it. Disney in Florida, maybe not so much, but that
Maybe, but you have to keep in mind that when it comes to the characters, they do come out in different costumes at different times based off of things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so like,
You'll have Aladdin walking around in like his regular Aladdin suit, and then you'll have Aladdin come out in like
King
Prince,
Alibaba?
yeah, and
Or Prince
and
Alibaba?
Prince Ali,
exactly.
and stuff like that. So
Yeah, so if I were to see something like that, if I were to guess, they probably wouldn't be the ones signing autographs and doing things like that during like regular park times, but during like during the parades, like the later at night parades, I would fully expect to see something like that.
That's just an intriguing.
Or
thing,
like
'cause
a Kingdom Hearts version, or like a Kingdom Hearts Mickey, and
that's
that kind
probably
of
more
stuff.
likely. I
That'd be
think
pretty
that
cool,
would be-
actually. Because I'm not a huge Kingdom Hearts guy myself personally, but like for someone like Thackeray who's a really big fan of that, I think that would be just a really interesting touch to put in. Like you're just walking through and suddenly you see like, Goofy or Donald from Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, like
walking the
their
park.
certain like their outfit. Yeah, I think that'd be something I'd be like, all right, I'm not getting pictures, motherfuckers. But I'm
Well,
getting
my
pictures
brother
with
was-
this dude.
Yeah.
my big brother was huge on Kingdom Hearts because we're a Disney family. We just are. We've been going with our grandparents since we were little kids. They used to take us, or we used to go out to Vegas during the summers, and they would take us to Disneyland.
Yeah, because my parents are from Vegas, so I
yeah.
grew up in there. So yeah, that's the reason why I've been so many times.
Yeah, like my grandma collects, those, or in the gift shops, like the higher end stuff, they have like the crystal
Yes.
characters.
Yeah.
My grandma collects those.
Those would be really cool to collect. I
They
think.
are really
Anything
cool.
crystal is usually cool to collect. Unless
yeah.
you're a villain in the Final Fantasy universe, and then collecting crystals is bad.
Yeah, but if you haven't figured it out, I'm very pro Disney. We're talking about doing a 7-day trip next year, and doing 4 days in Disney and 3 days in Universal, and just kind of a compromise of like she gets to go to Harry Potter World, and I get to see all the Disney shit that I fucking love.
Interesting thing about that is I think they're doing Nintendo Land at Universal.
They are.
So that would be because like I said, I would want to do 4 days at Disney and then a day or two at Harry Potter World and a
Yeah,
day
so, like,
at
what you
Nintendo
do
Land,
is-
like, it would be perfect.
What you do is take each park and allocate about a day per park.
Yeah.
Usually you get like a day of or like kind of a day of rest, but for me, if I'm doing 7 days straight, it is going to be exhausting. My Hollywood adventure day is going to be like, let's go to the park, see the things we want to see, and then fucking bounce and go to sleep and hang out in the pool.
Yeah. Eat a
Like day
burger and
3
then
or
wait
4,
30
I'd
minutes to
imagine,
swim
something
and then
like
swim.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, we spent half the day when we went to Magic Kingdom in Tomorrowland. Because
Tomorrowland is the fucking
dope.
shit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's really. That's actually I went there one time, and it was probably the second to last time I'd gone. They had the first Kingdom Hearts there before it was actually released.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I actually got to play it before it was released, so I thought that's a memory that I have. That's really.
My only bummer with Tomorrowland last time that I went is there used to be an Alien Encounters ride.
Right.
And it was really fucking creepy. Because the idea of it is, like, you sit in this room, and there's, like, an alien inside of it, and it escapes.
Oh, shit.
And the whole room goes dark, and all that you get is kind of, like, the sensations of this thing moving. It was a really great suspense ride, and now it's fucking Lilo and Stitch.
I don't think I've ever been on that one because I don't think
You
my
can
parents.
skip
But
it.
the Lilo and Stitch one, I think I remember being in place or being put
It's
into
the
place.
same concept, but kind
It's
of
Stitch,
cutesier.
so it's probably not as fun.
Right.
Because you said people had bad experiences with Disney before, and I got lost in the park when I was like 9, so that would be my only bad experience.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can really, looking back on it and how it actually happened and how my parents have explained it from their side of it, the park employees were on it like that.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah,
closed
they take
down the
those kind of
park.
things.
They stopped. They didn't let anybody out unless they checked them and they asked the kid, "Is this your parent?" They asked the parent, "Is this your kid?" And they found me in like 2 minutes.
Right.
It was good. But yeah, like I don't understand people having bad experiences with it, but it's
Really, people's, like...
I mean,
Disney
it's hot. There's a lot of people. It fucking sucks sometimes, but that's kind of the
Go
theme
on the
park
internet and
experience.
look at any giant corporation, and people are going to have a bad taste in their mouth over one thing or the other. So, I mean, whenever Disney buys out something, like whenever they bought Marvel, or whenever they bought Pixar, or whenever they bought fucking
ESPN.
everything. Anytime that they've done any big move, you're going to hear people online talk about how this is an evil corporation and how they're ruining everything. And,
Possible.
I mean, maybe I'm biased because I've loved Disney for a long time. I just don't see it. They tend to be one of those companies that does a really good job with their properties and just say, all right, we're going to buy you because you're very profitable, but you clearly know better at what you're doing than we do. So just
Unless your name is George Lucas.
do it.
Yeah.
That one had a lot more to do with George Lucas just didn't want to do it anymore for good reason. I mean, he got skewered over 3 movies that he made.
Yeah, he did like 8 hours of Star Wars movies, and only about 30 minutes of it was good.
Yeah.
Oof. That last part of the third movie.
Yes. They were just slamming Yingling, just having a good time.
And then they go like,
That's the movie, right?
no! And then it's like, this movie's shot again. But like,
Oh shit.
they've done really great things when it comes to Marvel. Definitely, or I don't think that they're the most creative movies, and everybody's kind of burned out on comic book movies a little bit, but when it comes to like really fun popcorn flicks, nobody does it better than them.
This is very true.
When it comes to LucasArts, we don't know what they're going to do with Indiana Jones, but we're all going to keep our fingers crossed, and as long as Shia LaBeouf's not in it, we're a little bit less worried than we were before. Rogue One proved that they could make a really, really good movie based on the Star Wars universe, but not involving
Using
the tentpole characters.
Yeah, using the properties, but not making it a saga film.
Exactly.
I really, really am excited by the potential of Chris Pratt playing Indiana Jones, though, because I do think he's a really good fit for that role. I do. I think he's got the look for it,
You
and
know
he's
what my
already showed
problem
off
is?
his action
I
chops.
agree with what you're saying, but I'm a little bit tired of seeing Chris Pratt and everything.
He's
You know what I mean?
approaching that, but there's
Jurassic
not,
World was the shark for me.
Jurassic World was not a bad movie to me. I actually really enjoyed that movie.
Jurassic Park is a really fun movie, and it's a really good introspective movie about how movies are made.
I mean, Jurassic World was very, very tongue-in-cheek in how it...
It's a great meta commentary on
Yeah.
Hollywood right now. Watch it again. I'm telling you. Watch it with that mindset and be like, oh yeah, this is fucking stupid that this movie's being made.
But, I mean, personally, for me, I think Jurassic World was really
was
fun movie.
I've only seen it the
now,
one
it was
time.
a little jump the sharky with the trained raptors. Those raptors would have just killed every human. There would have been no cooperation. I mean, that's some very, very willing suspension of
I think
disbelief
that
on
the,
the viewer's part.
I think the critics are right and the comedians are right in saying that the assistant who gets eaten by the giant whale thing,
Yeah.
that was a little bit much. She didn't deserve that.
Somebody saw Blackfish before they made Jurassic World.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh man, megalodons, they're assholes.
But I mean, here's the thing: is that for every negative thing that somebody posts at Disney, all that I have to say is look at Miramax during Miramax's golden age. That was all Disney owned,
Yeah.
and they just let this company who made Donnie Darko and Pulp Fiction and all these other really fucking dark, weird, gritty movies.
Just do it like they
Just like, you know what, we'll make the money, and we'll front you the money. We're just not going to have the Disney logo on this. You guys do your shit, and we'll fund it.
That's why I love...
Touchstone is another one of those things that for the longest time wasn't, but same kind
But
of
I mean,
concept.
Spielberg's company, Amblin, does the same thing. Just, you know what, we believe in this. You can go ahead and do it, and pretty much every classic movie from the 80s came out of Amblin.
I do like the fact that there are companies like studios or game companies or things that have subsidiaries to release things that don't necessarily match their image or their vision, but they know are good properties that people will want or that will be successful, and that you can kind of release it. Like you've got Disney as an umbrella, but then you've got you can do all your Marvel stuff under Marvel Studios, and you can do LucasArts.
Pixar's doing its own very unique things.
Right.
And with the exception of a couple of them, they've been spot on.
Cars 2.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Planes. Fuck.
Yeah.
Snakes?
On planes.
But yeah, I'm all for it. I fucking love Disney.
So,
yeah, no, I'm down.
I think it goes without saying, pay us, Disney.
Oh, yeah.
You just got the biggest shout-out promotional 45 minutes of an hour-long podcast of us just... Brian gushing about Disney and me and Thackeray over here just arms crossed, super engaged listening to him talk about Disney.
All right. I actually took notes on shit that I wanted to talk about.
And we just got in the flow of
and we got
shit.
fucking railed.
What's,
I'm on 50 or 60 something episodes through the whole run of Dragon Ball Z. I'm in Frieza just went through his first transformation.
That sounds about right.
Piccolo's been...
You're watching original Dragon Ball Z and not Kai?
Correct.
You fucked up.
Yeah, I know.
You're going to have to watch...
That's why he said 50 to 60 episodes. I was like, have they left for Namek yet? What are we, where are you at?
You're going to
man?
have to
Is
watch
Vegeta-
Let's Drive Cars.
Pretty much.
What's his face is still sitting up there with the fucking spirit bomb. I'm 60 episodes in, guys. How long do I gotta hold this motherfucker
Yeah.
for?
All the filler episodes of them getting to Namek, holy shit.
My favorite one's the one where the Namekian or the guys act like Namekians.
But anyway, there's a lot
Yeah.
of really, really great comedy in that from Bulma Briefs' dad. Is surprisingly funny. I completely forgot that the cappuccino machine joke was actually part of the original show.
Yeah.
There's a part where Guru, the Namekian leader, powers up everybody and
Kame?
No.
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 The Guru, yeah.
Guru.
Little Guru.
Unlocks exactly unlocks Krillin's power,
Yes.
and Krillin's like, does this drain your energy? And he's like, well, it's very complicated. Long story short, no. And that's the end of that. I saw John Wick 2. It is good for... I was really, really, really worried that it was going to be shit. It was good for all the reasons why the first one was good. They didn't make it bigger. They didn't make it more grand. They just put more money into gore as opposed to storytelling, which... They did
fine.
it. Yeah, exactly. And I didn't know this, but Nathan Fillion is playing Power Man in Guardians of the Galaxy.
That is fucking awesome. I had somehow overlooked that.
So did I.
So it looks like we're going to have a whole lot of things we're gonna be covering on next week's episode.
Well, I'm
because-
probably going to see John Wick 2. You're going to finish Final Fantasy probably in the next week, so we'll
and we
probably.
still
I'm
have to
gonna see
discuss the
Lego Batman.
XFL 30 for 30.
Which we
damn it.
didn't even do.
I
Yeah.
just watched it for this episode, you
I know.
guys.
We're going to have a
Good.
lot to cover.
Did you watch Elimination Chamber?
No.
Okay, good.
Should I?
No.
Who won?
What are we talking about? What do you want?
Just the chamber. I don't care about the rest.
Bray Wyatt.
Really?
He's the champion.
Really?
Yeah, so it's Randy versus Bray, which was obvious, I think, considering that
Yeah,
that
that's
stuff
fair.
was going to happen. So Cena got put over, and then literally 2 weeks later, he dropped the title again.
He was like, I'm not a part-time wrestler, and then he's like, I'm off to do my other jobs.
Oh, fuck this shit. Good night, everybody.